Hi all, it's Dane Campbell, and you have found, once again, Change with Dane. I'm recording this on 20 August 2025. I wanted to talk today, I was thinking about my discussion with you all about behaviors that we talked about last week. And I was thinking, or trying to think, about specific challenges or specific obstacles that I've seen people deal with sometimes when they come up against trying to change a behavior that they feel like would bring them more peace or success or happiness in life. And I think there are some specific, very specific obstacles sometimes that people encounter when they're trying to change behaviors. But I wanted to talk about one in particular because I think it goes hand in hand with the things that you've been trying to work on and that many of us try to work on when it comes to changing thoughts. Sometimes people will not even consider changing behaviors because they may tell themselves negative things about that process. And a lot of times these are borne out in past experiences that individuals have had in trying to make changes in behaviors in their lives in the past. So this gives us a great opportunity to perhaps utilize some of the skills that you've learned in changing thoughts when it comes to this obstacle of thinking about behavior change or thinking about changing certain behaviors. I want to give you a very specific example so that you understand what I'm talking about. Let's say that I want, or you want to change your fitness level, and you have determined that you would like to start exercising more. And you start to think about however many times in your life, however old you are, all of the times in the past that you thought you wanted to exercise more or you wanted to change your fitness level. And then you start thinking about all of those times when maybe you started that process and a week into it, 2 weeks into it, a month into it, you know, something happened, you maybe got sore, got an injury, got busy and had to focus on something else, and that kind of went by the wayside. And then you start thinking, or saying in your mind or ruminating about the fact that all of those times in the past you haven't been successful. So why should you make the change, or why should you make the effort now if it might only be met with failure and fraught with frustration and difficulty? So this is a great opportunity, right? To look at those things that you tell yourself, to look at those thoughts, or maybe look at those terms that you label yourself with, and decide if you can change some of those so that you can once again make an effort to change behavior. I've never been successful in changing my fitness level might be something that you say to yourself. And so we would maybe look at that and say, there's some alarming language in that, which is, I've never been able to. Remember that words like never or always or should or could, those are words that often creates very specific feelings in us and often chips away at our motivation or makes us feel a certain way. And so instead of saying, I've never been able to, you might want to change that a little bit and just say, up to this point, I haven't felt like I've been real successful in changing my fitness level. And even that very, very small adjustment, that very small change might be the thing that will help you to get started or to seriously consider making a change in behavior. The other thing that you can do is to look at these situations or these thoughts and examine what was going on in your life in the past and see if there's any other things that you could do to impact the possibility of moving forward. So one of the things that oftentimes people do with change is they keep it to themselves. They may be horrified or not feel good or feel guilty or even feel a lot of shame if they want to change a certain behavior, maybe the way that you eat because you're a little overweight. So sometimes we try to keep that to ourselves. We try to do this change without enlisting the help or support of others. And so instead of, saying in your head, I've got to keep this to myself, this is shameful, this is something nobody else can know about, you might be able to change and help with that obstacle by saying something like, a lot of people in society are overweight. A lot of people may not really know how to eat in a healthy way. A lot of people might need to make adjustments in their life, and I might be able to find greater success if I search out some of those people and gain support. So there are ways that you can examine some of these thoughts. There are differences in the things that you can tell yourself, and oftentimes those little tiny adjustments, getting rid of those words like never or always, or even changing the potential outlook that you project on the possibility of what could happen if you attempt this. That might be enough to create the energy to allow you to move forward with an opportunity to change. So if you're right out of the blocks, right off the get-go, saying to yourself, I am not gonna try this behavior thing because I have never had success with it in the past, see if you can't utilize some of the skills we talked about in previous weeks and see if maybe that won't help you feel a little bit different about behavior change. I want to help you understand that even though this is difficult, and even though maybe you've never had success with it or feel like you've never had success with changing something in your life, I just want you to know that people are capable of doing this. People maybe they have just not found the right motivation. Maybe they have not identified the thought that holds them back yet. Maybe they haven't found just the right support that they need to develop the habit that is something different or something that they want to see and do different. So I just want you to know you can do this. Even though we're human, and we make a lot of mistakes because that's who we are. Nobody's perfect. Humans have the capability with their big brain that they carry around to examine some of these things that are before them and actually be able to put energy towards becoming something different if that's what you want to do. So please work with this a little bit. If you're feeling a bit turned off about the idea of behavior change, maybe just take a step back and ask yourself what you are telling yourself about behavior change that makes you step away from it. Because I think every single one of us could find something in our lives that if we changed, we would feel more at peace. We could find something that would help us be a little bit more successful, and maybe something that could make us happier in life. And so before you just dismiss the process, and before you step away from Change with Dade and say, I've had enough of this, just look at those thoughts, examine those thoughts, and see if there's something that you can find that would help to overcome that obstacle in getting started with this process of becoming or finding something that helps you feel more at peace and more successful and happier in life. I really appreciate you listening today. Big milestone for me this week. I appeared on the Mormonish podcast to talk about my book, Growing Up with Satan. It was a great discussion, and I think that there are elements in that discussion that talk about change, changing thought patterns, paradigms, dogma. And if you want to listen to something that from that perspective, it might be worth your time to take a quick listen to that. But if you could please if you enjoy this process, if you could please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I am looking forward to breaking down this process of behavior change even more, in the hopes that I can help you find success and overcome the obstacles with changing behavior. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week, and please take care.